after my brother was diagnosed with cancer. His biggest wish was to marry my girlfriend. Faced with such an outrageous request, my parents actually got down on their knees and begged me to break up. Even my usually gentle sister slapped me hard across the face. She said, "Women are like clothes. Brothers are like your limbs. No matter what. Can anything be more important than your brother's life?" Everyone accused me, and just as rage began to boil in me, my girlfriend, a 9th-dan black belt, showed up, without a word. She slapped my brother across the face and shouted furiously, "Moral coercion. Marry you, you disgusting toad. Did you even ask for my opinion? Losing your mind right before dying. You getting cancer is literally karma doing its job. Make sure you tell me when you die, so I can set off firecrackers in celebration." Then she slapped my sister across the face too, pointed at her nose and cursed, "You're the damn clothes here. Acting so cheap and worthless. What? Have you been passed around like some second-hand item on a resale app?" Chapter 1. After 3 years of dating, I brought Willow home to meet my parents. My mom, full of warmth, said, "Willow, I'm truly happy to meet you. For George to find a girl like you, it's such a blessing for our family." She smiled and added, "It's probably time to set a wedding date. We can discuss the details once your parents return from overseas." Willow gently replied, "Ma'am, please don't say that. George is a wonderful man. If anything, I'm the lucky one. As for the wedding, we're thinking of this fall." I laughed and said, "That's right, Willow is so amazing. I want to marry her as soon as possible." But the next second, at the dinner table, my older brother, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke. His voice hoarse and dreadful, he said, "Mom, Dad, I probably won't be able to attend my little brother's wedding." He pulled out a hospital diagnosis report from his pocket. "I didn't want to tell you, but I really don't know what to do anymore. I'm still so young, and I haven't even had the chance to be filial to you." My heart sank. My instincts told me Makoto was stirring up trouble again. He was raised solely by my mom. Among us 3 siblings, he's always been the most pampered, ever since he was brought back into the Wong family. This so-called brother of mine has been at odds with me over everything. He's envied everything I have since childhood. He just couldn't stand seeing me happy. Sure enough, my mom was startled by his teary red eyes. She said, "What kind of nonsense are you spouting, child? What's going on?" My dad took the diagnosis sheet, unfolded it. His hands trembled more the longer he read. He muttered, stomach cancer." My mom frowned and scolded, "Don't talk nonsense. What nonsense are you shouting?" She snatched the thin sheet and checked it carefully. Then she exclaimed in shock, "Makoto, how can this be?" Under the table, Willow held my hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. Makoto stood up, appearing relatively calm. He said, "Mom, Dad, don't get too worked up." My dad asked, "Makoto, our family gets physical checkups every year. How could you suddenly be diagnosed with stomach cancer? What's really going on?" Makoto looked up, closed his eyes, a tear rolling down his cheek, choking up. He said, "I don't know either. These past few days, my stomach's been killing me. So I went to the hospital to get it checked out. They said it's cancer, late stage," the doctor said. The atmosphere instantly turned heavy. My mom asked anxiously, "What did the doctor say? Can it still be treated?" My brother continued. The doctor said, "I only have 6 months to live at most." After saying that, it was as if every ounce of strength left his body. He staggered back to his room in a daze. My mom chased after him first, calling, "Makoto, don't do anything stupid." My dad followed closely behind. My sister Alicia wiped the tears from her eyes and said, "I'm really sorry, George. Willow, maybe you two should head home for now. This all happened so suddenly. We just wanted to enjoy a lively family dinner, but who could have known?" I frowned, held Willow's hand, and said, "It's okay, sis. I'll take Willow home for now. You go deal with the family stuff first." Chapter 2. In the car, I sat with a furrowed brow. Willow turned her head slightly and asked, "Is it really okay for us to just leave like that?" I shook my head firmly. "It's fine." She spoke softly, "Worried about your brother." The car lights were off, and in the dimness, the slight arch of her brow made her delicate features even more captivating. I explained, "I was just thinking, how could someone who seemed perfectly fine suddenly fall ill? It's just making me feel uneasy. If everything had gone smoothly, we would have finalized the wedding date at this dinner. It was supposed to be a warm, joyful family gathering, but out of nowhere, Makoto dropped the news about having a terminal illness." Willow gave my arm a gentle squeeze. "Don't overthink it. No matter what happens, I'll be right here with you," I teased. "Now that I think about it, technically, my brother's your ex. Are you asking out of concern for him?" The Wang and Lu families were old family friends. Under our parents' arrangement, Makoto and Willow had once been introduced. As we talked, the car pulled into a luxury villa neighborhood. After parking, I leaned over to unbuckle her seatbelt. She leaned in and gave me a kiss. She said, "Jealous, hubby?" Willow's eyes were clear and gentle, her nose delicately straight. When she looked at me, her gaze shimmered like moonlight rippling on a lake. I pinched her cheek. "Can't help it, my wife's just too beautiful." She gave a soft chuckle and nuzzled into my hand. "No matter how pretty I am, I'm still all yours." Then she added, "And besides, at most, Makoto and I had one failed blind date." "How did that turn into ex-boyfriend in your mouth?" I nodded. My bad. Poor word choice on my part." She rolled her eyes and held out her arms toward me. "All right then, carry me down," I replied. "At your service, my lady." Willow lowered her eyes with a quiet laugh, then let me lift her steadily into my arms. Chapter 3. I met Willow after graduating high school. At the time, Makoto said he wanted to take me on a graduation trip. He said he wouldn't mess with me anymore and wanted to apologize with real actions. But in the end, he took me to an illegal black brick kiln, stole my phone, and ran. While they weren't paying attention, I snuck away. But I was in a completely unfamiliar place with no money, and after going without food for days, I collapsed from hunger on the roadside. Thankfully, Willow found me. She bought me a meal and even lent me 2,000 yuan to get home. I didn't see her again until after college graduation, and it took me 3 months of pursuing her before she finally agreed to be with me. Just like that, 3 years flew by. What I hadn't expected was that despite how stunning Willow was, she had never dated anyone before. That night, after Willow had gone to bed, the vibration of my phone woke me up. I tiptoed to the balcony and answered. "Mom, it's really late, what's going on?" On the other end, her voice was thick with tears. "George, you saw what happened tonight. Your brother, he has stomach cancer, late stage. There's no cure." I cut her off, my tone cold. "Yeah, and what did they want me to give up this time? Was it the award I won as a kid? Or the guaranteed admission to my dream university that he stole from me in senior year?" She said, "Your brother told us his biggest wish is to marry Willow." I was speechless. My voice grew louder on its own, my fingertips digging into my palm as I tried to keep calm. I said, "Willow is my girlfriend. She already accepted my proposal," she replied. "George, your mom has no choice either. I hate to say it, but your brother is dying. It's just one woman. Doesn't 20-some years of brotherhood mean more than that?" I asked. "Brotherhood?" I laughed, incredulous. "Mom, don't you think that word sounds ridiculous between us?" In middle school, Makoto incited others to bully me. In high school, he stole my university recommendation slot and even altered my entrance exam preferences. Why don't you ask him? When he was doing all that, did he ever consider our brotherhood? Yeah, he's got cancer and you all feel sorry for him, but that's not my fault. So why the hell are you coming to me with this guilt trip? Years of resentment erupted in that moment. I said a lot, without holding back. Maybe it struck a nerve, because my mom fell silent. After a while, she choked out an apology. "I'm sorry, George. Over the years, your dad and I have overlooked you in many ways, but your brother didn't know better. He was just a kid. How could he understand anything back then?" I gritted my teeth and said, "Don't pretend you don't know what's going on. Let me be clear, Willow is my girlfriend. And there's no way I'm giving her up. What's mine is mine, and if Makoto doesn't accept that, I don't mind helping him die a little faster." With that, I hung up. Chapter 4. The summer night breeze was a bit chilly. I raised my hand and pressed my fingertips to my brow. There was no trace of sleep in me. When my mother gave birth to me, she almost died from complications. My father, being superstitious, believed I brought bad luck and would curse my mother. So, when I was only a month old, he sent me away to live with my grandmother in the countryside. It wasn't until my grandmother passed away, the year I finished primary school, that I was brought back to what they called home. My parents, as if waking from a dream, suddenly wanted to make it up to me. They enrolled me in the best middle school in the city, and placed me in the same class as Makoto. My mom told him, "Makoto, George is new to all of this. Help take care of your little brother." Wearing designer clothes, he handed me a toy race car with a cheerful smile. "Don't worry, Mom. I'm his big brother. I'll look out for him." Caught off guard by his kindness, I stared at the toy in his hand and gave him a clumsy smile. Makoto was lively and outgoing. Our sister was gentle. Our parents, though unfamiliar to me, tried to be attentive. Overall, it seemed like a warm new home, but the peace didn't last. Not long after transferring schools, my entire class began isolating me, uncannily in sync. Some students mocked me. "Look at him, all shabby and slow. How did a guy like him even get into our school?" Another chimed in, "Yeah, it's been a week and he just buries his head in books. What's he trying to prove? That he's some honor student?" During recess, groups of classmates would talk loudly, pretending I wasn't even there. One day, someone asked Makoto, "Hey young Master Wang, how could that raggedy kid be your brother?" I glanced down at my cloth shoes and padded jacket, handmade by my grandmother. I said nothing. Makoto frowned and replied, "George is my real brother. He was just raised in the countryside. You guys better not talk like that again." Hearing that warmed me inside, and from then on, whenever someone gossiped about me, Makoto would step in to defend me. But somehow, my situation never improved. It got worse. One day after school, I stayed behind to do cleaning duty. A classmate poured dirty water all over me and locked me in an empty classroom. The next day, when I went to confront him, I accidentally overheard him boasting to Makoto, "Done. Young Master Wang, just like you said, it's freezing cold. That country bumpkin probably froze his ass off." And Makoto, no longer the caring brother, looked smug, his eyes cold. He laughed. "This is just the beginning. He needs to understand. There's only one young master of the Wang family. Our parents' love, the family fortune, they all belong to me." Chapter 5. Babe, why are you still awake? Something on your mind? A warm body pressed against my back, her cheek rubbing gently along my spine. I adjusted my mood and said, "It's nothing. I just thought of some things from the past." After getting together with Willow, I told her everything about my childhood and family. She, always lively and cheerful, had tears in her eyes before I'd even finished. Trembling, she threw herself into my arms and held me tight. She said, "George, if only we'd met sooner, just like now." As she leaned against my chest and whispered, "It's all behind you now, babe. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." I hugged her tightly, rubbed her head, and let out a muffled mm. Willow narrowed her eyes and said, "Let me guess, Makoto's using his cancer to stir up trouble again." I sighed. "You guessed right." Willow looked up at me. "I knew that guy couldn't stay quiet. Did he call you? What did he say?" I shook my head. "It wasn't him, it was just a small thing." "Don't worry." She frowned. "How can I not? That guy's the textbook definition of a shameless bully. All bark, no bite, and always preying on the nice ones. And you're just too honest to handle someone like him." She clenched her fist and scoffed. "Why don't you let your wife take care of it? I'll beat him half crippled." I laughed and quickly stopped her. "Relax. It's my family business. Let me deal with it." Seeing the pout on her face and the look of distrust in her eyes, I added, Okay, how about this? I'll try to handle it first. If I really can't, I'll call in the boss." "Deal." Willow was the only daughter of the Liu family, a family famous for martial arts, so don't be fooled by her gentle appearance. She was trained in Sanda, Judo, and Taekwondo since childhood, which is why, generally speaking, I'd prefer she not get involved. Besides, I didn't want the person I loved to see the wreckage that was my family. She pouted and said, "Fine." She furrowed her brows slightly, clearly reluctant. "But listen, if you can't handle it, don't pretend you can. Call me." I smiled. Don't worry." Chapter 6. The next day, during a meeting at work, I got a message from my mom. "George, Mom wants to apologize on behalf of your brother. The past is the past. Come home tonight and visit him. He's given up on himself and refuses to go to the hospital. You should talk to him." I replied with just 4 words. "Not my damn business." Then I turned off my phone and got back to work like nothing happened. Everything that happened back in senior year made me see this family for what it truly was. So instead of following my dad's advice to study engineering, I majored in product design. During college, I partnered with classmates to start a design studio and launched my own brand. The Wang family built its fortune in real estate, a middling presence in the upper-class circle. I had zero interest in the family business. All I wanted was to stay out of Makoto's shadow and avoid his games. When you're busy, you lose track of time. It wasn't until lunchtime that I noticed the dozen missed calls on my phone, all from my mom. Annoyed, I blocked her number. 2 months later, the biggest design competition in the country was going to be held right here in our city. I was swamped finalizing sketches and drafts. No energy to waste on that absurd family. But I hadn't expected that since I didn't go back, they came to me instead. Dad, Mom, Makoto, and my sister. The 4 of them stood lined up neatly at the entrance of my villa. I hit the brakes and said, "Dad, Mom, what are you doing here?" Before my mom could speak, Makoto jumped in. "You blocked Mom's number, and you never answer my calls. George, the way you're talking, someone might think we're not welcome here." He looked frail, pale, and noticeably more haggard than before, like he'd aged overnight. But inside, I felt nothing. No ripple, no pity. I said, "If you're here to ask me to give up my fiancé, then yeah, you're not welcome." I was about to roll up the window when Makoto reached out to stop me. "Little brother, don't be so cold. No matter what, we're still family." His voice was kind, his tone sincere. Just like when I first transferred schools and he'd slung an arm over my shoulder, calling me bro. I gave a sharp laugh. Makoto, all these years, and you're still such a damn good actor. His face stiffened. I got out of the car and crossed my arms. Staring at them, I said, if you've got something to say, say it here. I'm not inviting you inside. My dad, clearly displeased, stepped forward. George, what kind of tone is that to use with your family? Didn't I teach you manners when you were little? Dad, I cut him off with a smile. You're misremembering. I didn't come back until middle school. So no, you didn't raise me. He was visibly stunned, then snapped. And that's your excuse for being disrespectful to your elders? Then, as if remembering something, he turned to my mom and said, I told you he was a jinx, but you wouldn't believe me. If you ask me, Makoto got cancer because of him. I stared at him, cold as ice. What are you glaring at? Am I wrong? We never should have brought you back. Look how we spoiled you. Now you're talking back to your elders. Chapter 7. My mom held him back and said, would you just say a little less? Alicia also stepped forward, frowning. Dad, that's really too harsh on my brother. My mom added, George, your dad just has a clumsy tongue. He didn't mean it that way. Don't take it to heart. She leaned in affectionately and said, no matter how busy work gets, you still have to eat, right? The housekeeper made your favorite sweet and sour ribs. Come home with mom. Okay. This whole performance didn't stir the slightest ripple in my heart. If anything, it made me want to laugh. My mom grabbed my hand and said, you're a piece of flesh that fell from my own body. How could I not feel pain for you? After a pause, she asked, about what I said last night, have you thought it over? Just as expected, I sneered inwardly. I pulled my hand away and turned to leave, but then my mom suddenly yanked me back and dropped to her knees with a loud thud. Tears streaming down her face, she pleaded. George, please, I beg you. The doctor said your brother's illness can't be cured. Just treat this as fulfilling his last wish. I'm kneeling to you. Isn't that enough? I was taken aback and quickly said, what are you doing? The other three were panicking too. My dad was the first to react. He said, what are you doing kneeling to him? Is he even worth it? My mom cried even louder. She said, I raised Makoto myself. How could I bear this? I wish I could die in his place. Please, George, just grant him this. Alicia pressed her lips together and said, yeah, George, it's just a woman. Do you really have to be like this? Makoto also rushed over and knelt down beside her, holding her up. Mom, don't do this. Begging him like this hurts more than dying. Forget it. I won't marry Willow. It's all my fault. Watching this touching family drama play out made me almost want to throw up. I stepped back, shook off the woman clutching my hand, then grabbed Makoto by the collar. Next second, smack, smack, 2 slaps, one from the front, one from the back, rang out loud and clear. I said, you're the one who called them here to stir up drama, and now you're putting on a show too. What the hell is wrong with you? I've had it with you, Makoto. 1 slap is for your two-faced bullshit, bullying me and isolating me. The other is for stealing my guaranteed college admission with your underhanded tricks, and for messing with my university applications. I kicked him hard. Makoto stumbled back and fell hard to the ground, the finger marks on his pale face clearly visible, and a sharp red scratch running down his arm from the gravel. A flash of anger flickered across his face before he resumed his pitiful act. He said, brother, I've wronged you in the past, but are you really going to hold on to this with someone who's about to die? Then he suddenly coughed violently and spat out a mouthful of blood. My dad was so furious he looked like he was about to have a stroke. His eyes turned red as he asked, Makoto, Makoto, what's happening to you? Alicia, who had been watching for a while, finally exploded too. She snapped at me. George, apologize to Makoto right now. Then she suddenly charged forward and slapped me across the face. I was stunned, my head turning sharply with the blow. The next moment, I turned my head and looked at her, curling my lips into a smile. I gritted my teeth and said, apologize. After all the despicable shit Makoto's done, has he ever said sorry? I was so angry my chest heaved violently, my fingertips trembling. Just yesterday, they were still joking and chatting at the dinner table, talking about my wedding date. Now that the fake masks were off, it was downright disgusting. But Alicia started lecturing me. She said, George, come on. At a time like this, you're still hung up on all that. Don't you know the dead should be respected? You'd go so far as to turn against your own brother over a woman. Where's all that education of yours gone? Women are like clothes, but brothers are like limbs. How can Willow matter more than your brother's life? Just as I was about to lose it and strike back, a figure suddenly darted past me. Smack. That person slapped Alicia across the face, and hard. She said, all of you ganging up to bully my husband, don't you have any shame? Her voice was icy cold, like it had been dipped in frost. Chapter 8. I said in surprise, Willow, weren't you working overtime? Willow pouted. Aunt Wu said some uninvited guests showed up at the house, so I pulled up the front door surveillance to check. I was worried about you, so I rushed back. I sometimes get so absorbed in work I forget to eat or sleep. Aunt Wu is the family chef, in charge of all my meals. Willow winked at me. No tears now, sweetie. Your wife's here to back you up. I was speechless. After saying that, she turned around and coldly stared at the whole family of 4. She said, Mr. and Mrs., from the sound of it, you want us to call off the engagement and have me marry Makoto instead, right? My mom awkwardly got up from the floor. She said, Willow, listen, it's just a marriage alliance between our 2 families. It doesn't matter who you marry. Willow lowered her eyes and let out a soft laugh. Then why not talk to my family? Go to my dad and mom. Why bring it to George? My mom stammered, unable to give a real answer. Willow snorted. What? Don't dare go to my parents? She raised an eyebrow, cold light flashing in her eyes. Or is it because you know I'd never agree? So you're trying to pressure George into doing your dirty work? Willow. My dad cleared his throat and said, just give this some thought. You know Makoto's condition, late-stage stomach cancer. Just do this as a favor for Uncle Wong. Willow nodded. I've thought about it. My answer is no. She added, this is hilarious. Since when did my marriage become something for outsiders to dictate? Did I or my husband cause Makoto's cancer? Why should we have to pay the price? My parents had nothing to say, but both looked very unhappy. Makoto was still half lying on the ground, now visibly at a loss. He said, Willow, don't be mad. This is all my fault. Of course it's your fault. Did you think I wouldn't blame you? Willow cut him off sharply. If it weren't for you, none of this today would have happened. Who are you trying to emotionally manipulate? Marry you? You disgusting toad, did you even ask for my opinion? My dad's eyes widened. Willow, how can you talk like that? I almost couldn't hold back a laugh. Everyone knew Willow was the heiress of the Liu family, but no one knew that once she lost her temper, she could curse more fiercely than anyone else. Makoto slowly stood up, looking sickly. Willow, I really do like you. You know I don't have much time left. Willow wasn't moved in the slightest. She rolled her eyes. Still pulling stunts on your deathbed? It's poetic justice that someone like you got cancer. When you finally kick the bucket, let me know. I'll bring fireworks to celebrate. Everyone was shocked by Willow's brutally honest words. Alicia, clutching her face, looked pitiful. Dad, Mom, let's just go. Wait. Willow stopped her and pointed at her nose. Did I say you could leave? Talking about women are like clothes. You're the fucking clothes here. So damn cheap and pathetic. What? Been resold on a second-hand app more times than you can count. She added, Alicia, my husband is too polite to hit women, but I won't hold back. If you lay a hand on him again, I can't promise what'll happen. I muttered. Actually, Willow cut me off. And let me say this one more time, George is the one and only husband I've chosen in this life. As if declaring a vow, Willow laced her fingers tightly with mine. From an angle no one could see, Makoto clenched his fists in rage. His jaw tightened, his eyes full of hatred. Willow continued, Uncle Wong, let's be honest here. Everyone knows this so-called marriage alliance is just the Liu family doing charity work. The Liu family worked in the tech industry, which had been thriving in recent years. There was no need to sacrifice a daughter in a marriage alliance with the declining Wong family, she said. If not for George, I wouldn't have given the Wong family a second glance. Now that the truth was laid bare, my dad's face flushed red. His lips moved, but he said nothing. Chapter 9. Back home. Willow applied medicine to my face. Looking at the distinct 5-finger slap mark, she puffed up angrily. Your sister is way out of line. Is that really your biological sister? She hit you so hard. I smiled. It's fine. I don't really care about her. At least I beat the crap out of Makoto and made him cough up blood. Willow huffed. Serves him right. After she finished applying the ointment, Willow buried her head in my chest. Still fuming, she said, I asked you last night what happened. Why didn't you tell me? Do you know how scared I was today? I said, sorry, and poked her cheek. First, I thought I could handle it myself. Second, I guess I felt kind of embarrassed. Willow frowned. Why? I sighed. Letting the person I like see the mess that is my family, how they behave like wild animals, it's just humiliating. I hesitated for a second but decided to tell her the truth. Willow looked up at me. She said, don't be silly. You don't get to choose the family you're born into. All I see is that my husband is strong and amazing, not someone who just gives into a toxic family, but someone who chooses to live his life and keep pushing forward. Honey, to me, you're like a shining light. Everything about you is good. Snuggling against me, she said softly. Besides, I'm your wife. Whatever happens, we face it together. That's what a wife is supposed to do. Warmth flooded through my chest, spreading to every corner of my body. I cupped her face and gave her a deep kiss. Thank you, sweetheart, I said. Willow's eyes sparkled. Kiss me a few more times and I might say even nicer things. I pushed her gently away. All right, Alright, you're right. I've got to keep working hard. I'm going back to work. Willow looked pouty, but her face was full of joy. Chapter 10. After hearing that the Wang family tried to force Willow to marry my brother, Mr. Liu was furious. He directly warned my father, if they tried any more of their shady tricks, the Wang family would be permanently blacklisted from the Liu family's partnership list. Willow asked me if I still wanted to teach that scumbag of a brother a lesson. I shook my head and said, with your dad putting it that way, whatever stunts he tries next won't amount to anything. I already beat him up. And karma's got him with cancer. He's basically a dead man walking. Let the heavens take care of him. Why should we waste any more energy on that? I've got too much on my plate to bother with him. Willow leaned into me and whispered by my ear with a laugh. You're too kind. If you ask me, he's not done yet. Guys like him never stop. Who knows what he'll pull next? Sure enough, just 2 weeks later, Willow and I went to her university reunion, and there was Makoto. The moment I met his provoking gaze, I had to admit, Willow was right again. And it happened faster than expected. During introductions, Willow said, Anna said we could bring guests today, so I brought my husband to mooch a free meal. I joked, well, technically, I'm still just the fiancé. Willow clung to my arm and pouted. Don't care. I say you're my husband. So you are. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Makoto staring at me with clenched teeth. The classmates kept teasing us lightheartedly. Someone said to me, President Wang, young and accomplished, and married to the class beauty, living the dream. Another said, let us know when the wedding is, we want invitations. I smiled and responded to each of them. Then, an untimely voice cut in. Wait, really? Wasn't Willow Makoto's girlfriend? From how people talked back then, I thought they were practically engaged. The atmosphere froze. From the corner of my eye, I saw Makoto's face twist with discomfort. I understood immediately. Just as I was about to say something, Willow pinched my arm and turned to the speaker. Who said that? Who said I was his girlfriend? She said, we had one failed blind date. At most, nothing more. Her tone was dead serious, more than I'd ever seen. The speaker looked embarrassed. Sorry, the person said. Didn't mean to stir anything up. It's just, back in college, the whole class thought you two were a perfect match, same background, same future, and all that marriage talk. Willow was visibly annoyed. She frowned and swept her gaze across the room. Who spread such ridiculous gossip? The silence was suffocating. In the unspoken agreement among the classmates, I caught one small detail. Makoto had his head down, tapping his fingers aimlessly on the table. That was his guilty tell. The class monitor sensed the tension and quickly tried to ease the mood. Come on, let's not get worked up. It's been ages since we all met. Let's eat, drink, and not let some ancient drama ruin the evening. I patted Willow's hand, which was still wrapped around my arm. All right, it's all in the past. They've got your favorite grilled fish tonight. Let me get you a piece. Her frustration melted away instantly. Chapter 11. Originally, I just wanted to treat this meal as if Makoto and I were water in separate wells, no contact whatsoever, as if he didn't exist, but he clearly came to make trouble. Halfway through the meal, he chuckled and teased Willow. Sometimes I really do regret it. How could I have missed out on such a great girl back then? That line made my skin crawl. I set down my chopsticks and said slowly, enunciating every word, if even a meal can't keep your mouth shut, you'll have a lot more to regret later. The class rep quickly jumped in to smooth things over with a laugh. Come on, Willow's already taken now. A bit late for regrets. But Makoto kept going. Willow, I remember you really like ribs. Go ahead, try some. As he spoke, he picked up a piece of rib and held it out with his chopsticks. Everyone at the table froze for a second, their expressions subtly shifting. But Willow, the moment he stood up, had already reached out to cover the serving plate in front of her. She said, compared to this place, I prefer my husband's cooking. It smells way better. Makoto was publicly rejected, and his face darkened slightly, but Makoto had thick skin. He laughed it off and said, look at me. Someone should slap me. Willow's boyfriend is sitting right here, and I'm just meddling for no reason. His little self-directed play finally came to an end. As the gathering wrapped up and everyone paid the bill, the class rep organized the group to head out. Most of the people had already left, but the rep, now supporting a completely wasted Makoto, looked troubled. He said, could you two help take him home? I've got another date I need to get to. Willow frowned and said, just call him a cab and be done with it. I thought for a moment, then gently held her back and smiled at the rep. Go ahead with your plans. I'll take care of him. Under Willow's puzzled gaze, I curled my lips into a small smile. I said, he is my brother after all, and he's terminally ill. I wouldn't feel right just letting him go home like this. He might as well crash at our place for the night. While driving, I casually complained to Willow. The desktop computer in the guest room really needs replacing. Last night I used it for rendering and it lagged like crazy. Thank God I managed to save everything in time. Willow blinked. That's not possible. Isn't the guest room PC the one you just... I cut her off. Anyway, it's definitely not running well now. This design competition is a big deal. If anything goes wrong, all of our team's hard work will be for nothing. Willow looked exasperated. Are you just trying to get a new graphics card? That was one hell of a detour to ask. Fine, buy it. One for use. One for your precious little GPU museum. I was speechless. At a red light, Willow glanced toward the back seat, pouting. Babe, are you sure you want to bring him home? I smiled faintly. Let's just say I'm taking in a stray dog. Curse this soft heart of mine. Fine, Willow grumbled, her face full of reluctance. But make sure he's gone first thing tomorrow morning. Chapter 12. Early the next morning, before we even had to prompt him, Makoto had already left. Willow heard the movement, got up to confirm he was really gone, then came back and shook me awake. She said, "Wake up, hubby. Don't you think Makoto was acting strange last night?" Half asleep, I opened my eyes and asked, "What do you mean?" She said, "The alcohol. He has stomach cancer, but he got dead drunk and didn't show any signs of discomfort." I sobered up a bit and said, "You mean, his cancer is fake?" Willow nodded. "That's what I think, most likely." I frowned. "No way. I saw him coughing up blood with my own eyes." Willow replied, "That's easy to fake. TV dramas do the coughing up blood trick all the time." That shook off the last of my sleep. I said, "You've got a point." Willow sat up and said, "But, how do we prove it? Should we take him for a checkup?" I said, "Here's the thing. I remember the logo on his last diagnosis was from the city hospital. If we check there on site, we'll know right away." Willow said, "You're busy with the competition right now, so leave this to me." I gave her a loud kiss on the forehead and said, "Thanks, wifey. I wouldn't have thought of this without you." That afternoon, while the studio was bustling with activity, our assistant David rushed in. He said, "George, come quick, someone's posted our design drafts online." "What?" Everyone except me screamed in unison. They scrambled to open their computers. The post already had 30,000 likes and at least 500,000 views. Someone exclaimed, "Damn, how did it get leaked?" "George, what do we do now? How are we supposed to compete like this?" 4 or 5 young newcomers looked at me in sync. They were fresh graduates hired just today and participants in this project. I said, "Everyone, don't panic. Look closely. The drafts going around online are just early versions. There's a big difference from our final submission." Hearing that, they all breathed a sigh of relief. One of them said, "Right. I was so stressed I didn't even check properly." I continued, "This won't affect our official entry, but we must find out who did this. David, call the police." Chapter 13. When I showed up at the Wong residence with the police, it was my mother who opened the door. She looked confused, glancing between the officers and me. "What's going on?" she asked. I pushed past her and pointed at Makoto, who was lounging on the couch scrolling through his phone. I said, "Officers, that's the one. He stole my design drafts and leaked them online." The older officer stepped forward and said, "Makoto, please come with us." Makoto looked up as if waking from a dream. "What are you talking about? This has to be a mistake," the officer explained. "Mr. George filed a report at the station stating you committed copyright infringement. We need you to cooperate with the investigation." "No, wait." Makoto panicked when he saw the seriousness of the situation. "He just says I did it and that's enough. Do you have proof to arrest me?" My mother quickly moved to block the police. "That's right, officer. Everything needs evidence. I know my son, he's not a thief," I said. "Oh, not a thief." I smiled politely and pulled out my phone, playing surveillance footage that clearly captured Makoto's actions. I asked, then, "Mom, how do you explain this?" She watched the short 2-minute video over and over, her fingers trembling. Finally, in disbelief, she asked, "Makoto, did you really steal your brother's design drafts and post them online?" Makoto started to panic, his bare feet scrambling on the floor. "Officer, please, let me explain." "No, Mom, you've got to believe me." I crossed my arms and stared at him coldly. "You can explain all you want, at the police station." Just before he was taken away, Makoto suddenly snapped. He lunged at me in an attempt to attack, only to be restrained by the officers. He shouted furiously, "I get it now. George, you bastard, son of a bitch, that day you set me up on purpose." On the way out, he continued screaming insults at me and struggling wildly. Probably driven to the edge, he dropped all pretenses and showed his true face, just a shameless thug. The neighbors, drawn out by the noise, came to watch the scene. It wouldn't be long before Makoto's grand scandal spread through the elite circles. Even after the police car had driven off, my mom stood frozen at the doorway, replaying the image of her son thrashing around like a madman. She murmured, How did my Makoto end up like this?" Of course she didn't understand, because only I knew, no matter how many years of elite education Makoto had received. Deep down, he was always just a street punk in a fancy suit. Chapter 14. We hired the best lawyer in the country and successfully had Makoto locked up. Copyright infringement, tampering with my college entrance exam preferences, orchestrating school bullying. Multiple charges, tried together. My mom and sister came to plead with me to drop the lawsuit and let Makoto go. As for my dad, he's a businessman. After scandal, he had long since given up on Makoto. Forget begging for leniency. When he found out, he even rushed to the prison and slapped Makoto in the face, furious at how he had shamed the Wong family. When my mom put on a full performance, crying, yelling, and threatening to kill herself, I cast the surveillance footage straight to the living room TV, playing it on loop, to remind them what exactly Makoto had done. Unexpectedly, my mom ignored it all and questioned me instead. But your brother has cancer. He doesn't have long to live. Do you really want him to spend the rest of his days in prison? My sister chimed in. Makoto is the one mom and dad raised and doted on. You've basically ripped out mom's heart. A wave of sheer absurdity hit me. I asked them, so what? I'm not mom's biological child. That shut them up. After a long pause, my mom stammered, that's exactly why we, as a family, need to show more understanding. But even she couldn't finish the lie. She knew she was being ridiculous. It felt like my heart had been submerged in ice, completely frozen. Expressionless, I said. You don't have to say anything more. If Makoto had the guts to do it, he should have the guts to face the consequences. He deserves to pay for his crimes. Mom, thank you for raising me all these years. I'll transfer some money into your account. But from now on, unless there's something major, let's not see each other again. If I still held any fantasy that they might come to their senses once they knew the truth, then at this moment, all those unrealistic hopes were crushed to dust. My mom was stunned when she finally reacted. Her chest heaved in anger. She said, George, you ungrateful son. I stared at her coldly, unmoved. I said, if you don't leave now, I'll call security. Realizing they'd get nowhere with me, the two of them left begrudgingly. The huge villa finally returned to silence. Later that night, as I was getting ready to sleep, Willow curled up in my arms. She said, Aunt Wu told me your mom and sister came by again. Did they give you a hard time? I replied, just begging for Makoto. I kicked them out. Willow looked down, thinking for a moment, then said, we should tell security tomorrow not to let them in again. She huffed and added, and by the way, you let Makoto into our house that day on purpose when he was drunk. Didn't even warn me. I was worried sick. I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't want you to accidentally blow the cover. Willow pouted. Okay, I take back what I said before. You're not a straightforward guy at all. No honest man has this many schemes up his sleeve. I smiled calmly. This is the real me. Willow. So, how do you feel about marrying me now? Regrets? Regret? Willow gave it some serious thought. Can I say I love you even more now? I was speechless. Honestly, over the years, I've done things like this more than once. When I was being bullied in school, I secretly recorded and filmed everything to gather evidence. The worst offenders got expelled. Just 1 hour before the deadline to submit college applications, I logged in and discovered mine had been maliciously changed. I fixed it immediately and saved screenshots as proof. To be fair, none of Makoto's tricks ever truly harmed me in the end. So yeah, Willow's right. I'm definitely not some gullible fool who just sits there and takes it. Chapter 15. We had long anticipated that Makoto would use his so-called cancer as an excuse to request external medical treatment. So before he officially began serving his sentence, we contacted doctors at the city hospital and confirmed that his medical diagnosis had indeed been forged. We also arranged a full-body examination for him, intending to expose his lies completely. But the results stunned everyone. Makoto actually did have stomach cancer. Not advanced stage, early stage. Years of obsessing over how to sabotage me had made him neglect exercise, and he'd picked up habits like staying up late and heavy drinking. Getting sick was only a matter of time. In the hospital room, the man's face was pale. He lay there rigidly, eyes lifeless. I said flatly, karma never misses. I continued, when you forged that diagnosis and faked coughing up blood, did it ever occur to you that one day it might all come true? Makoto moved his lips and forced out a few words. I lost. I sneered. You brought this on yourself. He gritted his teeth. But why? He growled. The one who should die is you, George. Suddenly, he exploded, roaring like a furious lion. He screamed. What was so wrong with staying in the countryside? Why did you have to come back? You took mom and dad away from me. You stole my top student ranking. You should have died. I looked at this raving man without the slightest ripple in my heart. I said, Grandma passed away. That's why I had to come back to this family. But I never intended to fight you for anything. Like back in middle school, when mom tried to make it up to me by buying me tons of clothes and shoes. I didn't take a single thing. I still wore the clothes grandma made for me. All that rich family nonsense, do you get it? I never cared. Makoto stared at me in stunned silence for a full 2 minutes, as if trying to process what I'd said. Then, like a madman, He suddenly started banging his head against the wall, unable to accept it. He growled through clenched teeth. Bullshit. You know what I hate most about you? I hate your fake-ass noble act. I never even liked Willow that much. I just wanted to take her from you because she was your girlfriend. I stood up, looking down at him with contempt. I said, "You've got some serious psychological issues." I scoffed coldly, not wanting to waste another word. Just as I stepped out of the room, Makoto screamed after me with everything he had. "You don't know, do you? On the graduation trip, I sold you to that illegal brickyard. I wanted you dead, gone forever." I turned right back around and punched him hard in the face. Psycho. Afterward, I went to see Makoto's attending physician. He adjusted his glasses and said to me, "Besides his physical illness, the patient's mental state is also quite unstable." Just as I suspected, the moment I saw how deranged Makoto had become, I'd already guessed as much. I said, "Doctor, please do your best to treat him. Use the best meds. Money's not an issue for the Wong family." I gave these instructions. After all, only once he's healed will he have the strength to serve time. And one more thing, I added, since he's mentally unstable, please keep a close eye on him. Don't let him run wild. The doctor nodded. "Don't worry, Mr. Wong." Chapter 16. After leaving the hospital, I drove to the biggest arcade in the city center. I didn't go there to play, just wandered aimlessly. My mind was flooded with messy thoughts, jumping from memories of my late grandmother to the years I'd spent struggling and fighting my way through life. Makoto had finally received his punishment. I wasn't exactly happy about it. What I felt more was a deep, relieving sense of release. I no longer had to stay on edge, constantly guarding against one person. Just as I was lost in thought, a sweet female voice suddenly came over the arcade's PA system. "Little George, your mommy is waiting for you at the mall entrance. Don't forget to go find her." I was dazed at first. When I realized who was behind the prank, I was speechless. God, how embarrassing. Fuming, I stormed toward the exit, but the moment I saw that familiar silhouette, all my anger vanished. She waved at me and tilted her head. "Knew you'd be here." I pulled her into a hug. Voice hoarse. "You're not working today?" Willow replied. "If even you, the workaholic, took the day off, of course I had to take a break too." "Come on, let's celebrate. Let's have some fun," I asked. "Celebrate what?" She winked at me. "Solving the Makoto nightmare." "Duh. Isn't that worth celebrating?" I looked at her and said clearly, word by word, "Thank you, Willow." I stared into her eyes and said, "Meeting you is the best thing that's ever happened to me in this rocky life." Willow was going to tease me, but instead, her eyes turned red. She said, "That's not true. Everything you have, it's not luck. It's because you deserve it." 2 months later, Willow and I held our wedding as planned. Under the crisp autumn skies of the Wong Festival, we took our vows in a solemn church and exchanged rings. My mom was busy taking care of Makoto in the hospital and couldn't have cared less, but I hadn't invited her anyway. We invited a bunch of friends and classmates to witness our happiness. Alicia texted, "Congrats on the wedding." I didn't reply. My dad did show up, rubbing his hands awkwardly as he apologized. "Son, I know you've been through a lot. It's all my fault for being so superstitious." I knew perfectly well he was only here because Makoto was now useless to him. It wasn't genuine guilt. Maybe I was just completely done with that family. I replied with a blank face. "It's all in the past, and if it's in the past, it's got nothing to do with me anymore." The day after the wedding, I took Willow back to the village where I used to live. We went to visit my grandma, the woman who raised me for over a decade, who taught me kindness, and also how to grow a spine. Standing in front of her grave, staring at the gentle black and white photo etched in stone, Willow and I held hands. I said, "Grandma, I'm doing really well now, and from here on out, Willow and I will live even better. So don't worry." The breeze rustled through my hair. Far away, the poplar trees whispered in the wind.